What's up, everybody? It's Mervell here. I'm back again with a new live stream. I hope you guys have an amazing morning so far. Happy Thursday. So today I came back to talk to you guys about some of the things that I've been thinking about, or lately, because I took my time before I released this video, and I've watched numerous videos. That gave me the courage to do this live stream and discussing this topic. All right. So if you've never, if you don't know who I am, my name is Mervell. If you've never came across my YouTube channel, I talk about Africa, more particularly Congo, because that's where I'm from. And I also encourage people to go back to Africa and do business, and I will continue to do so. But while we do that, there are also other groups from different continents that are seeing the opportunities that Africa have to offer, and they're taking advantage of that. While Africans themselves, they do not see the potentials that they have in their homeland. They're deciding to move away from Africa, looking for those opportunities. So in this live stream, I'm going to discuss just that. And I'll probably give you my own personal opinion why I think that is the case, and then we'll go from there. Please feel free to let me know in the comment section down below whether you agree with me or not. I'm very, very curious to hear about you now, guys, in the comment section down below. So without further ado, let's go straight to today's live stream. All right, you guys, obviously I'm behind the wheel. I'm driving to work. I'm trying to speak as loud as I can so you guys can hear me. I know I'm on a highway and you may not hear me well if I just don't speak up, okay? So I live in Pennsylvania, in a suburban area that is approximately an hour away from the city of Philadelphia. I have a huge African community in the area where I reside in, and most of them are from the Democratic Republic of Congo. But we also have other African fellas from Angola, from Tanzania, from Uganda, and so forth. So I also spend time with friends talking about these topics. I was fortunate enough to come across friends that share, for the most part, the same opinion as me. They encourage me every time I go back to Africa to do my things with farming and everything like that. But it is interesting, some of the answers that I get when I ask people questions. So are you, the most commonly asked questions within my community is that, do you see yourself going back to Africa to invest or to do anything productive? The answers have always been yes. But then when I will ask them, why wouldn't you want to do it while you were in Africa, but you chose to leave first, come to the West? And I get differing answers too. Some people, they argue that because there aren't jobs that pay a good amount of money, therefore it feels like it will take forever or a lifetime before they're able to afford a home or to live comfortably, right? That is why they did everything they could to come here to America, work, save money, and then go back to work on the projects or whatever it is that they want to do back in their countries. And a lot of people share the same views, which is fine, right? But at the same time, when I ask them another question, so how long have you been here? For the most part, is between like 10 years and up. Some people have been here longer than 10 years. When I ask them questions like, okay, you've been here over 10 years, so what is your plan? Are you planning on, like, retiring before you go back? Or now some people, the answers are getting more interesting. Some people will say that, oh man, I thought it would be much easier before coming here, but now that I am here, I find myself trapped with debt, the student loan debts or um, auto loans and things like that. So it is making it more and more impossible for me to leave, because with all the responsibilities that I have, all the debts that I have that I owe, so I can't just leave yet. I have to work on it. But we know a lot of the debts are are going to keep you here in the West for a very, very long time, depending on how much money you owe. Like a lot of students, like people that went to college, they have like bachelor's degree or even higher than bachelor's degree. They owe between 50,000, some of them up to like 80 grand or even 100,000. People with master's degrees or they have like doctorate degrees, oh, God help you. But you see, it is forcing you to stay here to get a job. The job does not have to be within the field that you went to college for. Um, as long as you get a job, they want you to pay up. You have to start making those payments. Otherwise, your credit score will be destroyed and nobody will ever want to lend you money again in America. So basically, your life will be destroyed here, because we live by like credit system. All right. So if you're not familiar with how that works, I'm not the guy to explain to you that, but like I'm sure you can Google or maybe use YouTube search engine to see. There are tons of videos out there that talk about it. But if I can briefly give you an idea, it's basically you go into a bank to get a loan to buy a car or to buy a home or to go to college, right? And the money you will have to pay with interest rates, and for the most part, those interests are much higher than they should have been, right? That's the keeping you basically employed here to continue to make those payments. And that's why a lot of people here, it even became a subject or a debate on the Senate floor in America, where House of Representative members and senators debated over canceling student loan debts. Even the President Joe Biden talked about it, but unfortunately, they have not delivered what they have promised the American people, right? That is unfortunate. So if you're watching from the UK, from any other place out there, please feel free to let us know how that's working out for you out there. So when it comes down to Americans, their choice is very simple. They want the better deal, right? They want the best deal they can possibly get. Some of them have, are debt free, and they can't put up with the nonsense that are happening here in America. Some of them, they don't want to have anything to do with the Western way of doing things anymore. A higher cost of living. People are more and more are finding it difficult to afford their lifestyle. Therefore, when people travel to places like Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, or like Latin American nations, they see how cheap life it is there. When they come back, now they started making plans to either move to those countries or spend the most of their lives there. That's now there is an increase in people, looking to get remote jobs or learning skills that will give them the ability to work remotely, so that way they won't have to stay here in America permanently. So it's pushing them to move out of the United States or out of European world to go live a much better life at a cheaper cost outside of their borders. And those are the things that are happening, right? And if we talk about like African Americans, for instance, like now, back in the day, African Americans had a whole different view for Africa. So now it is not the same way anymore. Yes, there's a lot of ignorant African Americans out there. I can tell you that because I work in Philadelphia area and I come across a lot of them. Unfortunately, some of them still think that Africa is jungle, but I think they just need to do a little more research. But it is astonishing to me that people that are like it's coming from people who live in one of the most developed countries in the world, supposedly, and they have access to internet 24/7, but they lazy to just Google some of the things that will give them the basic answers that they're looking for. Or sometimes I wonder whether it is just ignorance or it is just a way of mocking the African continent. But like whatever the case may be, that is not for me to decide. What it is really up to them. But this is really becoming a serious issue. And now those that are informed, those that want to better themselves, they have taken ancestry tests to trace their ancestors and found out like the tribes that they potentially came from. They're reconnecting with the African continent and they're doing business there. You know why? Because they saw the potentials that they didn't see here in America. Number one, they majority when they moved to Africa. You know what I mean? That's one of the advantages that they have. When they move to Africa, they become majority because it is a black dominated continent. But here in America or in the West in general, they're minorities because these countries are predominantly white. You understand what I'm saying? But vice versa, when it comes down to Africans moving to the West, we find ourselves here a minority. You may have the jobs or the careers that you were looking for, but for the most part does not give you what we intended to get here as quickly as we expected them. That's why most people are disappointed with the decisions that they have made that brought them here in the first place. And because this is happening more often, now people are finding ways to move back. And we've seen a lot, like an influx of African Americans, of Africans who have lived here in the West moving back to Africa. I'll tell you one quick story about a guy that I met in Mwanda when I was in Congo this year in May. So I went to Mwanda like around June because I went to see a friends there who genuinely allowed me to use his vehicle while I was in Kinshasa. And when I was done using it and it was time for me to come back to America, I had to drive it all the way down to Mwanda and drop it off to him. Thanks again. If you're watching this video, shout out to you, Mr. Thomas. I really appreciate your generosity and everything else. So he introduced me to a guy that he was friends with a very long time. His name is Suleiman. Suleiman he has, I don't know, Senegalese. I think one of his parents is from Senegal, right? And he's born and grew up in Congo. But he moved to Germany. He lived in Germany almost his entire life. I'm not sure if he had pension or whatever. I mean, it really didn't get into details, but I'm telling you like the brief story that I was told, right? He lived in Germany for a long period of time, but then he just couldn't deal with the racism and all the crap that he was going through out there. So he ended up moving back to Congo, and he had his family, was doing his business out there. So he's very, very happy where he's at in Congo. So, and that's not the only case, because I can personally speak on behalf of my family members. I have now 3 uncles who have lived in Europe. One lived in Germany, and 2 of them lived in France. One of them is a college professor, so he lived there throughout his youth. And he was even married to a white lady over there. They had a family, but I think they broke up or they got divorced. There was so many things going on, so he couldn't stand staying there. So he ended up moving back to Congo. He teaches at multiple different universities in Kinshasa, and he's living his life. As a matter of fact, I think he's campaigning to become a House of Representative member. Yeah, I think he wants to get into politics and stuff. But yeah, and my other 2 uncles, like they've also went to college in France. They now own their small businesses in Congo, and they're just doing fine, right? So you will come to a realization that moving to the West is not always beneficial to Africans, because most Africans, they really do not have the same opportunities when they come here, at least what we think. Because keep in mind, Uncle Sam is always about their taxes. They don't care about you. Those taxes making it possible for them to better their country, to finance the wars, and do all the things that they're doing around the world, right? Unlike us in Africa, most African countries, we do not have the tax culture like it is the case here in the West, right? But they have become so greedy in the tax system that most people now, like if I have to show you my paycheck and the amount of money that are being taken out of my paycheck, you'll be like, dude, what the hell is you doing? But it is what it is, all right? So let's go back to one of the reasons why Americans or Europeans, some of them are moving to Africa or other continents. One of the reasons could be religious too. So, you know, for instance, here in America, Democrats like don't share the same political views as Republicans on numerous issues. For instance, the LGBTQ is still a big debate here in America. If you didn't know, like, you know, same-sex marriage is a thing in the West, and a lot of Republicans don't agree with it, and Christians here in America don't agree with certain things. And because the new laws and policies that are being pushed to start teaching, you know, sexual, like you know, sexual ed, I don't know, like they're trying to incorporate a program, like a sex program within like public schools, where, you know, they'll be teaching, you know, children sexuality, or even encouraging children to choose the gender that they want to be identified as at as early as, like, I don't know, 10 years old, maybe 12. I'm not sure. If you guys know, please feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, right? So that is abuse of children. Like, if you're not allowed to have a tattoo before you're 18 years old, why would it be okay for you to like freely choose what sex you want to be? Like, they literally teaching children things that they should have being taught when they were either 18 or over 18 years old here. So when a lot of parents seeing things to happen, things like this happening, they either choose to homeschool their children so they don't have to deal with this kind of bullshit, or they just move to countries where their education system is equivalent to what they receive out here in the West, but still protecting their children based off of their religious belief. These are the things that are really, really happening, right? And if you don't believe me, there are tons of videos out there. You can even go, like, there are articles talking about this, all right? And this is becoming an issue. And the countries, it's more like most European countries, or most Western countries, are divided in these issues alone, because nobody wants their children to learn about things that they should wait till at least they were 18 to make decisions upon, right? So, like, here in school, they want to encourage children, like in like public schools and or whatnot, to, like, it's okay for men to use like females' bathroom if they identify themselves as transgender. And, like, you don't know what it's doing into some other kids' mind, right? When a child chooses to identify themselves as transgender, like whether it is a female, like a male, right? And maybe they're curious to see, like, you know, a female private part, because they'll be allowed to use females' bathroom in school. You don't know that, right? Because you're not inside of this children's head to know what's going on in there. because you have put this belief into children, and now it is creating a conflict of interest between children and their parents. That's why family structures here in America, it is very, very broken to an extent where, like, think of it this way: when your children don't agree with you on one of the most sensitive topics, they're more likely not to listen to you anymore. They will want to either find a place where they'll be more accepted. You know why? Because they believe the things that the government is telling them to do, it is going against the parents' belief. But like, parents grew up in a whole different era where these things were taboo, these topics would not even be touched. But in today's society, it is becoming a problem, right? So all of these issues put together, it is pushing people away from here, like high cost of living, housing markets, and things like that. Now young Americans or Europeans, they are more likely to live a much longer period with their parents, their own home, because the prices are not what they used to be in the past, and the wages are not increasing to match the inflation the way it's happening, right? So you will just go check the statistics. You will see that, like, the younger people now, like, it's just less of them are buying homes as they should, because back in the day, if you were making like $45,000, it was a lot of money, right? Nowadays you're making $100,000, but with the bills and everything else combined, like, it doesn't mean anything to you anymore. And those are like the very reasons, like, why more like Americans or even Europeans are moving to other continents to explore, to see other options, because they can't get the same like staying here in the West. Oh crap, there's a car that's literally like in front of me. Whoa, what's going on? Oh well. That's Philadelphia. You will hear like sirens all the time. All the time. This is a very interesting city. All right. So, all right, what I was saying is that, like, all these issues combined, it is creating a division among Americans or even Europeans. Let's just call them the West, right? Western countries. It is really creating divisions within Western countries. So, but in Africa, in contrast, people are not leaving Africa for these specific reasons I have mentioned, right? They're job opportunities, job that pay more money. But again, it is more money if you live in Africa. You look at it at the African currency rates, but then if you move here, that rates will never be the same, because this money is being printed here. So an item that will cost you probably $1 in Africa, here will cost you probably between $7 to $10. So you're not getting the same value. And people learn that the hard way when they move here, and then they enjoy all of these things, and they will be like, they will hear different stories, whether it is like, oh, you can go, borrow as much money as you want, go to school, get your education, and then you'll be making more money. And then when people, like, they will learn later when they get all the student loans, they owe over like 50 grand or even $70,000. When with a bachelor's degree, they get a job that's starting them at like $15 or $17 an hour, and they get so disappointed, right? So these are like the main issues people are coming across when they're making decisions, whether it is American, whether it is African moving to America or to the Western world, right? So it is up to you to decide what you're moving your family here to. If it's worthy, go for it. And if it's not, you may want to reconsider your decisions. For Americans or Western like countries, I think they're benefiting from what they're getting, because They coming here, some of them, they moving to Africa with like savings that's making it possible for them to either start a business right away or purchase properties, just do well for themselves, because they're getting probably half half the price of what they would have spent if they had stayed here in the West, you know. So those are the differences between both. So I figured that I wanted to talk about this topic because it's been on my mind for the longest time. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure you stick around to the end of the video, and do me a favor, make sure to like the video, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell for when I release videos like this, you are notified. This live stream is coming to an end. I appreciate you watching. Have a fantastic Thursday. I'll talk to you later. Peace out.